Welcome back to NTV News First Edition. Well, in less than a week, students will be back in school. And while this time of year brings lots of excitement, it also brings a few nerves, and it could be a significant source of anxiety. Here to discuss ways to help with back to school anxiety is Dr. Janine Hubbard in this week's edition of Get Psyched with Dr. Janine. So thank you so much for joining us again this week.
Oh, it's lovely to see you, Amanda.
So first of all, is it normal to be feeling anxious about returning to school?
Absolutely. And that includes everyone. That's kids, that's teens, that's parents, that's teachers, that's post-secondary students and instructors. Totally normal. What we see is the full range from a little bit of jitters, a little bit of worry, all the way to the bad bellies and the full-on school refusal. We're seeing the full range at the moment.
And what can parents do to help?
There's a lot of things. Very first thing is sit down with your child and ask them about their fears. Ask them what they're worried about. The biggest mistake we make as adults is making assumptions about what they may be afraid of, because oftentimes it's things that have never even occurred to us and sometimes have really practical solutions. And then the next thing is, as opposed to giving your child all the answers, which we're so tempted to do, get them to problem solve, get them to role play. What will I do if one of my classmates isn't wearing a mask and I want to wear a mask? What do I do if, I can't figure out how to work my locker? Get them to problem solve their way through it. And that will help give them a sense of mastery, not just of that question, but of other unknowns that may be there along the way. The other thing is talk to them about, in very realistic terms, about safety, and help focus on what are the things that are within their control this year, what are the things that you as parents are doing, what are the things the school is doing, and again, remind them that, like we've been learning to do, this is the situation right now, but it might look different in a couple of weeks or a couple of months.
And I guess that's the big question now is, well, what's the takeaway? We've got a few more days before students are back and teachers are back in the classroom. So what's a good takeaway from this week?
I think the main thing to know is a little bit of anxiety right now is totally normal, totally to be expected. But if it persists, either if it's to a stage where it's really feeling debilitating, if you've got a lot of bad bellies, if you've got kids who are having headaches, if they're having a lot of physical symptoms, or if they're starting to talk very adamantly about refusing school, then it's time to reach out. Please keep in mind you have a wonderful support team at your school. There are guidance counselors, there are instructional resource teachers, and there are classroom teachers. Sometimes it's a really simple question, like your child is worried, and so a classroom teacher can take a photo of what the class looks like or what their seat might look like and email it to the child ahead of time to help them know what to expect. But if it is something that feels more out of control, now is the time to, like I say, reach out for help, whether through school personnel or through mental health services.
Great advice as always. Thank you so very much, Dr. Janine. It has been a pleasure, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Thanks, Amanda.